All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Metaphysical Bible Hangout. I'm Reverend Sherri James, and I am here with my good friend, Dr. Will Coleman, and I'm excited to be here. Now, I promised y'all we would do something in Leviticus, but honestly, I want to take advantage of the fact that we have Dr. Coleman here and really make this a Q&A. So this is an opportunity for you to ask your questions, to really, let's really dive into the Bible, whatever is on your mind. So I'm going to tell you something that happened to me, Dr. Coleman. This month, I can't even tell you exactly where I was, but I heard the Spirit say, your job or my purpose is to protect, preserve, progress, and pass on the metaphysical Bible interpretation. And meaning that, like, it was like a
words,
clear,
images,
words,
the content,
words.
You kind of
clear, like a clear sentence.
Were you awake or asleep?
Oh, I was awake.
Okay.
I was awake. I was sitting in my kitchen.
Okay.
I think it was July, like right around July 4th, around that time, and I have been doing all this work on purpose, like find your life purpose, like finding your life purpose, identifying what is yours to do, and the teaching has always been a part of it. Personal development, spiritual development, for me, they're synonymous because they're all meant to get what is out into expression. But I never had what I thought to be that clear of direction. And meaning I wrote it down. It was evening. It was evening. I was making dinner.
Okay.
Yeah, making dinner, and it was as clear as like, your name is Sherri. Your purpose is to protect, like those 4 words: protect, preserve, progress, and pass on. The art and science, right. The art and science of metaphysical Bible interpretation.
Yeah, well, that fits what you've been doing. So your inner self, your higher self, how you want to describe it, plus whatever what people think of as past life connections or converging. Yeah, I can connect. I can relate to
it. So then my question was, well, how?
By building on what you're already doing. This is the key. You don't per se.
VJ said, "Praise God that you heard." Yeah.
Amen. I said the same thing. And see, the purpose is important because you can do a lot of other things that are interesting and that are profitable and that are useful. No doubt about that. But when you find you particular focus and a particular consistency and a particular confirmation in what you're doing, then that's the thing to do.
Right.
My own case, I grew up in what you see me do now. I actually grew up in it, but I took a different divergent path in terms of how I thought I was going to fulfill more in the area of theology than in this study. And
Now, what do you mean you grew up in it? What does that mean?
I mean, I grew up in a context where the Bible and biblical teaching, in whatever form they were, was my daily meal, my daily food, my daily rhythm.
I don't know. This was like my daily rhythm. I mean, I had a mama that was like we went to church because she believed that church was important. I mean, both my parents, we went to church as a family. But my mom was such a radical.
See, it's not just your mom, though. It's your ancestors. See, it's not just your mom.
Okay.
When I say this, always bear in mind, when I say something like this, I'm not just only talking about your immediate family. I'm talking about your tribe. I'm talking about the DNA that's in you. I'm talking maybe people you don't even know.
Right.
But nevertheless, or in a spiritual path, maybe not in the exact form, but in a spiritual path. You're a spiritual path maker, path finder. And the way that expressing yourself comes through in this particular incarnation, at this particular moment in time, through what you've been doing and what you have a passion for. Not only what you like, but what likes you. It's a reciprocation of what you enjoy doing, and that's clear to everybody. And then that enjoys working with you. The microcosm and the macrocosm connect. So that voice.
Do I need to go find these answers?
They're there. They're right there. You don't have to go anywhere. They're right there.
Okay.
Yeah. You could do some research if you wanted to, but
like I know that my mom's grandma. I'm trying to get the order right. My mom's grandmom was what they call a two-headed woman. Had a head in this world, a head in the next.
Who do?
Right. And she made her money as a fortune teller.
Yeah, right.
And her name, if this name can be trusted, her name meaning because my relatives don't carry the truth. They got a passing relationship.
Yeah, but you do.
with the truth.
Where
but
she is.
If this name can be trusted, her name was Addie McDaniel. They said she was like Cherokee. I'm not sure. And she married this. I don't know if he was still slave or not, but African. And then she had 7 sons and 1 daughter, and that daughter was my grandmother's mom. And then my grandmother's mom passed away, and my grandmother and them were basically orphans.
Yeah.
On both sides, her dad and her mom passed away, and then they were raised by Uncle Bubba. I couldn't tell you Bubba's name.
Right.
If you had a gun to my head, I couldn't identify his government name. But my mom came out of that tradition. That they
perception. That's about perception and interpretation. Right. Fortune telling, what people call fortune telling, is still a matter of hermeneutics. It's a matter of interpretation. It's based on observation of phenomena that people see, wisdom that they've accumulated, and then tools that they use to do interpretation. Some traditions could be cards, it could be stones, it could be crystal, it could be water. Those are mediums, but the gift resides here in the person. And those mediums are the basis for having a conversation. The Bible can be used that way, as been, is, and in African, American, Native American, indigenous spiritualities, we use intuitions that come to us, and that we can have a conversation about higher self, inner self, through that particular medium. So it's obvious that when you're teaching, the Bible, it's not just a prop, but it is a tool, it's a resource for you to express yourself. So this voice that is saying that is giving you a confirmation of to continue what you're doing, and even become more conscious. That's the key. To become more conscious that this is your path, your particular and specific path. So what that means, from my experience in the long run, is that while you are experimenting other things and trying other things out, that's good. No problem with that. But it's saying this specific way for you to be most authentically yourself, and also be of most help in pointing to others their way. Not that their way imitates yours, not your way imitates mine. It's unique. But I've always been aware that the way in which what you can call spirit or higher self communicates is not this way. It's usually just one clear, crisp statement and or image.
Yeah, no, this was a very clear, crisp, and the question that I thought it was funny because the question that I always ask. So this style of teaching. So there's a book, Meeting Jesus Again for the First Time, Marcus Borg, one of my favorite books, and I remember him in the book talking about Saint Augustine. Now, Saint Augustine is one of the antecedents to New Thought, as it was taught to me.
One of the African antecedents.
Oh, she said, can we speak a little bit louder? Okay, all right.
We hear you now. You all hear? Can you hear us now?
Is it clearer now, VJ? Okay. I don't know how to boost the audio output.
It's probably this room too.
It's probably the room too, and I'm gonna pull it from the camera. So, all right. Okay, great. And the other thing you guys should know, there's a praise party happening in the other room. Like they still going. This tribute is still happening.
They're having church.
Okay, got it. Okay. So in his book, Marcus Borg, he's talking about meeting Jesus again. He's going back and just exploring the life of Jesus, trying to pull off the lens of theology that, okay, good. Alita says, I can hear you better than that. That pull off the lens of theology. And I thought it was so interesting because he quotes St. Augustine.
Right.
And St. Augustine is giving this interpretation. I don't remember the passage right now, but St. Augustine is giving this interpretation. And Marcus Borg is like, yeah, he was just out there. Like, you don't need to go that far. But when I looked at it, I was like, this is metaphysical interpretation. Like, this is exactly like what this is. It's
part of his confession, and that's part of his experience.
Right, right. And so it was classic metaphysical interpretation. This means this means this symbolizes this. And when you put these things together, here's the meaning that emerges from the text.
Right.
So that stood out to me. But it was I know that this art form and this science has been passed down through generations. And I think that it is interesting that it has landed in the laps of Black women in this generation. And the question that I have asked from forever is, will it die on our watch?
No, because the teaching has always been there.
So the answer I got, right, because I always ask the question, the answer I got was that, no, that's your job.
Exactly.
And I said, oh, no. That question was for me.
No.
I didn't know the question was for me. So.
Yes. No, it's not going to die. It's like DNA.
You can come closer if you want to come closer.
It's like DNA. It's transmitted.
I don't have coffee. It's freezing in here.
It is cool. Yes,
yes.
It is cool.
Y'all got to bring some of that energy over here.
Just imagine that you're at the beach.
Yes.
Imagine you're at the yes.
So the bottom line is that was the clearest direction I think I have ever gotten, other than just feeling a
confirmation, because you've been doing
confirmation, but just feeling a need. Like it was, I felt a need, for example, to when Reverend Della, we had what felt like two churches. We had church on Wednesday night and we had church on Sunday. And the people who came on Wednesday night were not necessarily the people that came on Sunday. And I thought that never made sense to me. Like I believed in one church. And so, and I felt like, okay, well, somebody's got to be a bridge between the Sunday church and the Wednesday church at our house. And so I said, well, I'll be that bridge. And I started showing up. I had no idea that was opening the door to what today looks like.
For you now.
Right. But it was like I kept seeing a need and fill it, seeing a need and fill it, seeing a need and fill it. And this was probably the first time that I got, okay, now go. Do this.
Right. Whose need was it?
Mine. Okay.
It was your need. It wasn't the church's need. Yes, they participated. But
it felt like, you can come closer, Wanda, if you want to.
It was your need.
It was absolutely my need, but it felt like it just made sense. It made
sense because it was for you to do.
Thank you, VJ says, thank you, Reverend Sherri. It is passed on. It just felt like it made sense. It felt like it made no sense to me to have these two divergent groups. Right. And there had to be a way to bring them together.
You.
Right.
You're doing what you were born, equipped, and called to do, and coming to the realization of that. So again, the vision you had a few days ago, again, is a confirmation. Okay, this is what you've been doing, and this is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So why try to do anything else?
Right. So I feel like that warrants a degree.
Okay, so let's talk about that too.
Okay.
Because degrees are.
They can't see you.
Can
you might.
Come in closer.
Okay.
Closer. Don't y'all start no rumors, okay? If you do start some rumors, so what? I don't care. Okay, whatever. He all up on her. He just tried to act like he couldn't lean over like this in front of the camera. So it is. Is this being recorded?
This is being recorded.
Okay, then. I don't retract anything.
All right.
What's done is done. So
Yeah.
what is it you want me to say about that?
I said, so I feel like, school is on the horizon.
Okay, so again, credentials are certifications, and they are verifications of what you do. If you choose and are called to a path to pursue a specific degree,
but I wouldn't even know where I would go.
Okay, so again, you go with where you are. You go where you're being drawn. One of the things I realized from ancestors again, in my own path, is that there's somebody in you who knows where to go, who knows how to get you there. You got to take time to listen. You got to get to know yourself better, and do your research. But
wait, there's somebody in me who knows which way to go.
All my ancestors went to do a PhD with me. All of them.
All right, you got to explain it. And I'm going to tell you why, because one of my heroes, Dr. Tara Wright Trent, you know who she is? Mm-hmm. Dr. Tara Wright Trent, this amazing woman from Zimbabwe, came over to the U.S. and, I mean, dirt poor. Well, she was an orphan. And her father died in the Civil War, and then her mom was starved to death by the uncle that cared for them, and then she was put in an orphanage. And I'm giving two stories. That's Michaela the Prince. Tara Wright Trent grew up in this village in Zimbabwe, and basically was uneducated and basically not allowed to be educated. And her dream was to come to the U.S. to study, was to go. And at the time, she was under 18 and had 4 children at that point. And someone happened to come from Heifer International.
Yeah.
And the woman that day talked about dreams and who has a dream. And so Tara, it was the first time that someone had told her that she could dream. And so she stands up and says, she said, I don't even know where the courage came from to say it, but I have this dream of going to the U.S. and studying whatever. Her mom she shares it. She's embarrassed because here she is with 4 children, which she's going to leave the children and go to the U.S. to study. And her mom tells her, bury the dreams in the ground because you plant them.
Yeah.
And she buries them, and she would go out and she would visualize, sitting on an airplane, and she had never even seen an airplane. She didn't know she knew something like that existed, but she had never seen one before. And she's visualizing, and an opportunity comes along, and she begins to complete her studies in Zimbabwe and finishes up to what would be the equivalent of 12th grade in the U.S., and then applies and ends up going to school in the U.S. and getting her bachelor's. And there's a whole, wonderful story of how she became, Dr. Tara Wright Trent. But she said when she went in for her dissertation, she saw her ancestors in the corners of the room with her as she is defending her dissertation. And so I'm interested in that idea because that always stayed with me from her story. So could you tell me more what you mean?
Yeah, well, the voice that told you that's a voice from within. And that voice represents a persona that you can begin to have a dialogue with about, okay, so we have this affirmation on this very clear direction. What is it that I need to do? And I give it even in the morning a meditation for everybody, that you do a meditation before you go to sleep at night, you do a meditation that corresponds to when you get up in the morning. You pay attention to dreams, images, and visions that come to you while you're asleep. So you begin to become not obsessive, but just as you are, and I know this because of the times I've sat with you in this particular context, you're very diligent and very methodical about the subject. Well, become diligent and methodical about the subject. And the subject is you. You hear what I'm saying? See, because again, the subject over there is a prop at the end of the day. You enjoy doing it, but it's a prop. The difference is, and what makes the prop come to life is you. So what you've got to take time to do is study you and be methodical about you and be intentional about you and be intentional about listening to the voice and engaging the personality. You can give it a name if you want to. You say, well, I don't know. I've hypothesized ancestors. I got granddaddy Charity, great grandmama Faith. Yeah, no. Because when you make it alive that way, then they can communicate with you differently.
Right.
And so give it a life force, if you will, so that you continue the dialogue, continue to listen to that intuition, still small voice, however you want to construe that. And at the same time, you go through the steps and procedures. The same person that you call, Reverend Sherri doing the Google Hangout can also do the Reverend Sherri Hangout. Does that make sense? That you spend time, the same time and attention and passion that you put into the prop, now put into the person, until the prop and the person merge in a different way. That's just a cover-up. You don't have to have a Bible Hangout. Just get in front of you and talk. I mean, if you follow what I'm saying. Because it's you.
Okay.
That's why people are here. They're because of you. And they're because of what you embody and how you express yourself. You saw me this morning. I was having a good time.
Yes,
I do it all the time.
Yes.
Because it's a gift, and I have tapped into my true self. You feel what I'm saying?
I was not expecting this.
Well, this is what it is now. You brought me here, so okay.
BJ say amen.
Amen. Exactly. People, they go along with you while you're playing around for a while until they're waiting. So you just, okay. We're gonna go. No, but that's not what it's about. Every Monday night, I'm having 50s, 62s, etc. I'm having a good time, and I'm inviting other people to enjoy what I enjoy and to be with me. But I'm very clear. We don't have to talk about any of these books I've talked about. We have, but we don't have to. What I'm really talking about is how I'm growing and how I'm evolving. And then the other side of that is you can do this too for you. Just remember, there's only one person to work on, practitioner, and who is that?
Me.
Reverend Sherri.
Yes, me.
That's right. And your friends who hang out with you are spending time with you as they also do their collateral growth. Yeah.
So two things. So Constance says, are you not ordained by spirit and filled with truth? Is the getting of the degree to let others know that you study for man?
See, you got to answer that. Nobody can answer that except yourself. You can have, that's important. That's really important. Why do you want to get the degree? What are you going to do with the degree? Or what is the degree going to do with you? It can go both ways too. When I first got mine, I didn't know exactly why. My father, he said, son, you don't need a degree to work on a plantation. Plantation is a plantation. It could be a high-grade plantation. It could be a low-grade plantation. But if you're working if you only got a degree so you can teach at such and such a place, you're still on a plantation. He said, you don't need to do that. He said, what you need to do is do you. He said, do you. Be you. And if being you authentically incorporates or includes getting a degree, then that same voice that said, this is what you need to do, it will open your eyes where you can see where you need to go, and it will open your mind so that you can chart out a course to pursue and open up the opportunities for others to assist you. Because that's what they're going to do when they say, yay, okay, about time.
Right. Andrea says, Rev, you already have several degrees. And Ray says, she says, but if you want it, you certainly shall have it. I'm still working on mine on my way to my PhD, simply because I want it. Ray says, Reverend Sherri, one of the teachers you love never had a degree, Neville Goddard. Yes, I do love me some Neville. Oh, Wanda says, hi, Ray. I gotta think about that. I just
think about it. You gotta sit with it. You gotta meditate with it.
I mean,
you gotta get acquainted with that voice.
Right, but I'm just saying. But education has always been important in my family.
Yes.
That like there's no such thing as you don't get a degree. It's just which one you're going to get.
Okay, but again, to what end? See, that's a new thing. Now, yes, there in the evolution of people and of our families, etc. Getting a degree without knowing what you're going to do with it is still a form, if you're not careful and don't pay attention, it still becomes another form of servitude. So now you're serving a degree. Now you're getting a debt to get the degree. But if you think beforehand how that degree would advance your business in life, your business in being you, that is an entirely different perspective. When I got my degrees, I didn't know any money, not for none of them. I got scholarships. Even when I didn't have absolute clarity, I knew at a certain level that this was a path for me, and that the resources I needed would come in relation to my gifts and my abilities to pursue them.
The hotel dropped out.
The Wi-Fi.
Yeah, the hotel Wi-Fi. Okay, but I have my hotspot if this happens again.
Yeah, you get it.
Okay.
They're all
back.
Right.
Are we all back? We're good.
What do you think? What do you say?
Yes, we're back.
I came in too late.
You came in too late. Looking a little sleepy too. It's been a busy full day. I'm gonna sleep good tonight. That's for sure. I had to speak this morning.
Here's a question: what should on the Bible topic? Because
Okay. Because the Bible talk is about you. Go ahead.
Yes. So what should I know about the book of Leviticus? Or what should we know about the book of Numbers?
Either one. So again, collectively, you know that Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy are all part of what is called the Torah, of the teachings. And each one of them, in addition to being composed by different authors, are working on a different perspective of creation, of liberation. That's what Exodus is all about. Then Leviticus is focusing on it's called Bar Midbar in the Hebrew. It means that they are at this place in between where they've left from their enslavement and their preparation for going into another reality. And what are the specific spiritual practices that they need to cultivate? And I take it to mean, what practices do they need to let go of from their enslavement or their bondage consciousness?
Right.
And what practices, some which will be in many respects brand new to them, what practices do they need to begin to cultivate as people who are moving into a freedom, liberation, and ultimately promised land state of mind? So there's a radical letting go and deconstruction of the past frame of mind, because the consciousness of the person and community that has been in bondage knows nothing else but being in bondage. That is what it knows. And it cannot move into the place of freedom until first it lets go of the past. Especially the past that has been oppressive. And it gets into the habitus and gets into the habit.
So that's then what all the laws are about.
Well, these are codes. Yeah, in Leviticus, the core written by the priestly writer is, these are the new habits you need to cultivate. They're not laws. That's why the Torah is not the book of the law. It's the book of the teachings, and the teachings of cause and effect. Here we go back to translators. So we are told that there are laws so that we will behave, so that we will obey law and order.
Right.
But that's not what the book is. A book of liberation, and it's a book of cultivating new habits, and habits that are based on, again, as you do these things will happen. As you do or do not do these things will not happen to you. It's just that very simple. That also.
So where did it come from? I mean, I got that people want us to obey, but where did it come from that these are laws? That meaning that
translators. Law
Okay.
law is not a biblical word. It's an English word. It's a Latin word. It's in the language. The Hebrew doesn't say law. The Hebrew says Torah, teachings.
So I'm thinking about the Joshua 1:8 when he says, "This book of the law shall not depart
That's
from
not
your
what
lips."
Joshua 1:8 say. That's the translation of what it says. So that's the question, beloved. What does the Hebrew say? And what word does the Hebrew use?
I don't know. Pull up your
See?
your interlinear. Constance says, "Oh my, yes indeed, for
No,
they were in bondage for a long time. So now learning to release those ways."
Yeah, let's go there. I almost said something.
And cultivate a new way of being.
One of my ancestors almost said.
Yeah, keep your ancestors under wraps. Okay.
He said, "Oh, Joshua."
Yeah,
let's go to
Joshua.
Joshua.
Yeah. No, because like that's what, because it's before he.
See, beloved.
Like no, but it's before, it's like he's going into to take to march around the walls of Jericho.
Blah blah blah. We have never read the Bible. Let me say this again, and I mean this emphatically. We have never read the Bible. What we have heard is someone else telling us.
What I heard.
It's not a fault to you. This is nothing against you.
Mm-hmm.
You only can begin to construct what you've been told the way it's been told to you. Now let's see. You said Joshua 1:8.
I'm pretty sure it's Joshua 1:8.
Okay.
But if it's not, hold on. You go ahead. You look that up.
No, see, that's exactly what it says. Let me read it to you. Let's say a thing about a law. Everybody listen to this. Let me say it. The translators lie. Translation is lying. If you want to know French, you don't sit around and say, well, what the French means in English is, do you? If you want to learn French, you got to learn what French says as French, correct? You go to France and say, well, look, okay, y'all, I want some water. Right?
Right.
That's what's going to happen. Because none of those words correspond to French words. It's the French words that carry meaning. If you go to Germany, I want some water. Now, they may understand Wasser is close to water because it's a cognate. But German and English don't say the same thing. This is what the Hebrew says. Okay? The Hebrew says, and this is what the Hebrew means. Lo yamush sefer ha-Torah ha-zeh mipecha. Okay.
Wait. Are you reading this?
Yeah, because Hebrew goes right to left.
Why can't you read that?
Okay, but everybody stay with me now. Stay with me. Stay with me, Reverend.
Okay.
This is important.
Okay.
Well, if you can't read it, then one of the things you and your ancestors are going to help you do is learn how to.
Okay. All right.
It's not a hard thing.
Okay. It looks confusing.
Only because you have been conditioned to look and think the other way.
Right.
Which is a message in and of itself. You've been conditioned to look at things the other way. But here's the beautiful thing. It's not this way. It's this way. And you got to think this way. Now, having said that, let me give you another type of interpretation of what it is saying. It says here, not you leave the scroll, say fast, the scroll of the teachings. Because there's the word, Torah. In
right.
Torah, even you can't look at the translator and say
right,
because no. It's the teaching. And the teachings are the teachings of cause and effect. When you look at the accumulation of what's written there, it's not do this or go to jail. That's what you're told from an imperialistic point of view. Law and order. What it says is quite simple. If you go to the edge of a building and jump off you're going down and not up. So if you don't want to go down, don't go to the edge of the building and jump off. If you do want to go down, go to the edge of the building and jump off. Now, you have then the choice to make, correct? And now, you could modify that. If you go to the edge of the building and you have a glider on your back, that introduces another teaching, another law that will compensate. By all means, go to the edge of the building with your glider on, your compensatory law, and jump off the building, and then aerodynamics will function. So you're using, but these are not laws like, look, I'm mad at you. Let me tell you something. No, man, let me tell you, I want to beat you up.
Right.
Okay? And I'm putting this law here so that I know you're going to mess up sooner or later. And as soon as you mess up, I got you.
Right.
But I set you up before I got you. You need to know that, right?
Right.
And that is how often we experience the notion of law and order, especially as a people. Right. It's a setup. And it has been written, let me say this way, the interpretation we've been given is consistent with that way of thinking. So that that's what I meant by, so you won't get out of line. You won't get out of line with the human law, and therefore you won't be out of line with the divine law. Because the human law now has been sanctioned by, as I said earlier, by a divine law you don't have access to. You don't have access to the divine person. But that's a lie. The truth of what it's saying here is simply cause and effect.
Cause and effect.
Don't depart from these.
Right.
If you go to the edge of the building, choose to depart down, not up.
Right.
It's not because so the teaching of correspondence means gravity is not going to person say, oh, Dr. Will, I heard you speak earlier today. It was so wonderful. So if you jump off of here, you're going to stay in midair. It does what it does.
Right.
And it doesn't have to, quote unquote, care.
Right.
I have to do it.
Right. You got to care.
I've got to care.
Right.
That's exactly what it is. But there's no law. It's Torah.
The teaching. The
teachings. And she's feminine, by the way. It's a she. She's feminine. Torah.
What?
I said she's feminine. The noun here is a feminine noun. Torah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, talking it back. So Leviticus then is a book. What we're seeing in Leviticus is a people acquainting themselves with, or chronicling, because they're writing it down, chronicling their understanding of the universe.
Go get your rest.
Yes. Chronicling their understanding of the universe, of what is right and wrong in a macro or in an ultimate sense.
What is balanced? What is, again, if we use the dualism of right and wrong, they're being, in Leviticus, they're being taught prescriptions that will bring about good effect. They're being taught how to do things that would bring about a good positive effect.
So aren't there things in Leviticus in regards to like fabric and other things?
Yes, because they're in the desert, they are learning how to dress things up and make things look good for the new continents that they're cultivating. That's what this construction of the tabernacle is about. It's not that you've left this one environment where everything was built by you for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But now you've got to learn how to do what? Build your own economy.
Right. Your
own sense of community.
Right.
Your own sense of fellowship. You have not known this. That's why you were in bondage. That was broken down in your state of being in bondage. And everything you were constructed was to the benefit of someone else. That was Pharaoh's pyramid. That was Pharaoh's house. That was Pharaoh's crop. So you didn't know how to, you knew how to produce for someone else. That is not going to take you to liberation. That's going to take you back. You're going to turn right around and say, look, the watermelon in Egypt was better than this piece of nondescript bread we eating every day.
Yeah, right.
No, they said that at one point.
Right.
So we had watermelons. We had no, they had pulled out a whole menu. So we had blah blah blah.
Life was better.
Yeah, I mean, they had pulled themselves up to the table. They were back at the Egyptian restaurant where they were the waiters. They back at the Egyptian restaurant where they were the waiters, right? But being a waiter in the house of Egypt was better than being their own entrepreneurial manufacturer in the desert. 4 seasons. And this is a test. Can you even for a season imagine yourself as the producer rather than the consumer? Not only the consumer, but the consumer who's bound to consumerism.
So is it fair to look then at Leviticus as a book that people in this country, people of color in this country, can use to free their minds?
Yes.
But okay.
Yes, don't read it the way the comment. So this is why, again, I stress the importance of this season and this time for us to study the book for ourselves. If Sunday after Sunday, Friday after Friday, Saturday after Saturday, you're going to a place of worship, quote unquote, and you're looking at the same book, right? That weekend. But come Monday morning, somebody else goes back up the mountain and you go back into the valley.
Right.
You have not been studying the same book the same way.
Right.
They've been studying the book from a different point of view. Right. When they read the text, they're identifying with different characters in the text.
Right.
They don't see David or Solomon as problematic. They see David and Solomon as the model for themselves. You're looking at the mistakes of David and Solomon. They're looking at, oh, wait a minute now. You know, if you do this to people, they'll submit. If you do this to them, they'll work for you. If you do this to them, you can get the chains off and they're still going to come back. Because what? They're reading the text from up here. You're being conditioned to, you're up under the table.
Right.
You're up under the table trying to, you're not even at the eye level with the text. You're up under the table trying to look up to the text, right?
Wow. That's crazy.
That's why.
That's.
I know it is, but that's why people say, oh, you gave the statistics earlier, wasn't it? The percentage of our beloved brothers and sisters who believe that the Bible is the infallible word of God.
Right.
And that is literal. No words are literal. Well, all words are symbolic.
But, okay, I don't want to call any names, but I hear people speaking of the Bible as the infallible word of God.
Which ones?
Well,
poor people. Poor black and poor white people. No, they're not. They know better. They don't live like that.
No, you're right. They don't live like that.
If they live in a lifestyle that's up here.
They're not. You're right.
Let me be clear now. We're talking about social engineering. If they live in a lifestyle up here,
right,
they're looking at something different. They're applying it differently. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, they are.
They're applying it differently because they also know something else about the application of it. That's my point.
Right.
They could be using the same words, but the application of those words are different.
Did you have a question?
Yes.
Yes.
But don't we understand it and apply it based on individual, based on your consciousness?
Right. So the question is, I'm gonna repeat it for the camera, is that don't we read it and apply it based on our individual consciousness?
Absolutely, and you're based on how your consciousness has been engineered to understand it too. If you only been given a certain vocabulary, a certain set of words, a certain set of ideas about what this book is saying, then you can't get beyond that. But if you have exposure, as you're going to,
right,
to the Hebrew, to the Greek, to the Latin, to yourself, you can see it yourself. You can see that this word was changed from the Hebrew when it went from the Hebrew into the Greek. And if somebody consciously changed that,
right,
you can see it was changed when it went to the Latin. That is the beginning of expanding. You may not understand all the things about it, but you see in real time. Wait a minute.
Right.
When I read that prayer this morning in those 3 different languages, did they sound alike? No, they didn't. Did they communicate the same thing? No, they didn't. Even if you didn't know the words and the meanings of what I was saying, you just think for a moment. There have been people who have known this for thousands of years. And they've known it in all 3 languages for thousands of years. And they sit in pews and in synagogues. And they've been there for thousands of years.
Right.
And they're not thinking about an English translation. The English translation is for someone else. You hear me, beloved?
Constance says, I was in my group Monday and while talking made the statement that there is no heaven, nowhere to go. It's here and now. A young lady was about to cry.
Yes. Because the hope, say if you're in hell here, you got to, and again, consciousness has been restricted.
Right.
To snatch that away, you say, well, okay, I'm just gonna suffer and endure here because
I'm gonna get this
something
pie in the sky later.
Out the wild. And you said, no, there's nothing out the wild. And yet that person can't fathom how they could break out of this bondage here. That's nihilism. Or the potential is nihilism for them. That's why she's crying. So what's to be done?
I just went to a whole conference with a whole bunch of other folks. They wealthy folks.
Yes.
Ain't nobody doing pennies. Ain't nobody doing pennies.
That's right. That's right.
I saw the dollars changing hands.
And they operate a business. It's a lucrative business.
It really is.
That is based on the idea of an infallible word. But that's not what they believe. What they do is what they believe, not what they say. And what they do is behind the scene. Are you listening to me? It's behind the scene. You don't see that. It's not shown to you. You see the effect.
Right. No, I absolutely saw the changing of hands, the money changing hands.
It is a gazillion $billion business.
Yes. Yes. And I saw that.
And for them, it is a business.
Yes. Yes.
Now, spirituality might come into the room some way or another, but that ain't the primary focus. The primary focus is the business. And they have intergenerational consciousness that way. Getting back to consciousness. So you can be using the setup again. You could be using the same words. You're making my point. Up the hill, down in the valley.
Yeah, no, because they up the hill. I saw the house. It was fabulous.
You use the same words, but the intent and energy behind the words, in between the words, are different.
So, okay, because I mentioned it.
Because I
want to go up the hill.
Just one more thing.
I belong up the hill.
Yeah, you belong up the hill.
I belong up the hill.
Okay.
So I need to let's deal with that.
Okay, so you need to produce the business side of what that voice is saying to you. It's called you want to go there? So the voice is saying, Reverend Sherri, you're doing other interesting things. But now this is the business that I'm giving you. Now, what are you going to do with the business? You got to, and again, if that's the way you're going, you can't say, well, I don't think about the business when I'm doing these teachings. No, that's not, no. That's right. You still a serf. And your students will validate your business of spirituality if you do. Are you listening? They understand that? Don't you all? Yes, they do.
Say yes.
And they will support you, yes. But if you are double-minded, well, I do this because I like it and it's interesting.
I mean, I do it because this is my favorite thing to do. It's why I would
like to eat.
I would take time away from. I do like to eat.
Yes.
And find restaurants.
Like to eat doing this. Like to eat doing this.
Yes. And it's why I would be at a conference and be here Thursday night.
Yes.
Like I don't cancel. Like this is
that's right.
Right. And when I'm in Nashville next week, we will be here next Thursday night.
Gifts and skills, and they're helping to cultivate them. They're being inspired. And I repeat, at some point, it has to become the business that you're doing. the business.
Right.
Every Monday night class is $1,000. Now, let me break that down. Every Monday night, I don't teach free classes. It's a scholarship. It's $1,000 value every Monday night. Now, and I give people a scholarship. You follow what I'm saying? It's a scholarship. If you want to make a contribution, that's fine. But the value that I give every Monday night is that $1,000. That's for me. And because that is in my consciousness, it informs how I conduct myself in that class and out of that class. Whether it's in that class or what you experienced this morning, it's the same thing. Because what has shifted is my being about what I'm doing. And is also shifted because then I'm also able to see things in addition to money, which is a fiat, as valuable. So in order to give and receive, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the form of that fiat. It can be in the exchange of the ideas and
Wait, how are you defining fiat? I understood fiat to be
somebody says it's worth this amount. Yeah.
Okay,
the Federal Reserve says it's worth this
Okay.
amount. And we say, okay, it's worth that amount.
Okay.
Because there's no money.
Right.
But
Just the agreement.
Thank you. It's
Right.
an agreement, it's a covenant consensus. Right. But it's because it is now a medium for bartering. Instead of borrowing for a horse and a cow, etc.
Right.
Now you're
agree on
bartering for goods, products, and services. I
Right.
give you this fiat, this good faith fiat, this debt
Right.
note in exchange. But understanding what that represents, you can also circumvent that and do it in other ways,
Right.
in kind.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing every Monday night. When I said it before. When I go, the reason I am so prosperous and quote unquote wealthy, and there's no limit to what I can do when I get up and down that stage, is because when I open a book, every page is $100 bill to me. Every page of every book I open is $100 bill to me. When I go to a library, that's a bank vault. When I get on the internet, I'm on my Wall Street. You hear how I'm redefining it? I'm redefining it based on my gifts and my passion. But I'm clear that the marketplace I'm working in is the one that I'm creating. So I don't go to the library.
The marketplace I'm creating, because something that Spirit gave me that I work with is that what's in you will turn you into your own economy.
Yes.
And then literally that came out of my mouth in a sermon, and it was like,
now that's what you need to be. You don't need to be talking to me. You need to be talking to that. That's my point.
No, that came out in a sermon. It was like, oh.
When I first started teaching those Monday night classes, one voice said, "You're a fool. Nobody wants to hear this stuff. You're stupid." You know, I was like the Tin Man. It was a lot. Shaking and carrying out too. But I kept teaching. I kept inviting people. And I kept recording every lesson. I didn't try to refine anything. I just recorded. 18 months into it, I'm in the bed. This voice says, "How many lessons have you done now?" I sat up in the bed. And I realized, I went to my computer. Not only had I recorded this whole inventory of lessons, but unconsciously, I had organized them in a particular way. Then the voice said this, in a way that was familiar to me. It said, "Now you have your own seminary." Yeah? And when I got that, from that point forward, I realized I had created my economy. And let me just say, the word economy comes from two Greek words. Orikos nomos. It means house management. So economy is about how you manage your house. Because if you don't manage your house, someone else will manage it for you. And they're going to say, "Get up at 8 o'clock and come here and manage my house." The only two houses to manage now. Either you manage your house or someone else will call upon you to manage their house. And don't get angry and say, "Well, I don't like this job." Well, okay, if you don't like that job, then do your job.
All right, so we need an attitude shift.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We all have a difficulty because we all have been conditioned. We have been conditioned to be the product, not the producer. Okay, again, in Egypt, they weren't producers. They were part of the product. They were part of the overall economy in Pharaoh's house, which means big house. The Exodus it means from the way. They had to get out of that environment. But moving that environment, they still were not ready to become producers yet. They had to now move into the stage of managers, managing new skills, managing new attitude, managing new habits, waking yourself up instead of the alarm clock.
And so this is, if I'm understanding you correctly, this is the subject then of Leviticus.
Yes, Leviticus is about these are the rituals you must cultivate in order to be free, because you're still bound.
So someone said, and I agree, that your success is in the routine.
It's in the ritual. Now, let me tell you why I don't use the word routine. Because here again, it's the language of redundancy. Routine. No, it's in the beautiful ritual of reinventing yourself. It's in the powerful, wonderful ritual cultivating in the Latin sense of habit. Habit.
So wait, because I need to digest this.
I know. Okay. Well, you don't got much time. It's $1,000. But I have a baby daughter. This is funny. I have a baby daughter. She's grown now, but at the time she was 4 or 5. She was doing some pronostication, and this woman put $1 on the table, and she said, "Start telling me the future." And my baby, she stopped. Blah, 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 blah. Then she stopped in the middle of a sentence, and the woman said, "What else?" She said, "Your money ran out." So the woman put another $1 on the table, and he just started talking again. She said, "But she said, oh no."
So,
oh, she was about 4 or 5 years old. She already had it. She said, she was going for a while too. I mean, whack. And then she started middle. Some woman said, she said, "Your money ran out."
So the education that we are talking about. Oh,
he showed me some love. That's right, there. Bro love. Go ahead, I'm listening.
So there's an education process of learning to put value on
what you do,
on
who you are and what you do.
And so our walk through Leviticus then is about the assigning of value to what it is that we have. And so for once, you got to see yourself as value.
Cultivating the habits of freedom. Again, back to cultivating the rituals of freedom. This is what freedom looks like. This is what bondage look like. And if you don't undo that, you're going back to it. I'm telling you, that menu in Pharaoh's house looked good, even though you were serving it more than you were eating.
Right.
Yeah. Right. I'm doing a double entendre. Y'all hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we had that experience too.
Yeah.
You in the house, but you doing more serving than eating.
Right.
You got to eat in the back room, right?
But I mean, that's still what's happening.
Of course it is, because it's the same type of economy and ways of thinking until you just are walking out of the big house, that house, and I might burn it down so I won't have to go back. But at any rate, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build my house. And I'm going to cook my food. I'm going to eat my food. And then I'm also going to share or the value of this food with others who respect and appreciate the way in which I now value what I do. Now that's a mouthful there. That was the Holy Ghost right there. That was the Holy Ghost there.
Constance said, she said, "I learned from Reverend Ann to use words that uplift and empower. I no longer pay or have bills. I have investments.
Now, that's another point. That's exactly right. She's exactly right. Now, when I've used the analogy that I went to college, seminary, and grad school, quote unquote, debt free, I'm also talking about an attitude that I adopted. I did have small loans along the way, but those were investments. I didn't call them, I said I'm investing. And investment consciousness causes you to apply yourself diligently in a different way. So every day, I finished in 4 years with honors because every day, apartment, library, bookstore, apartment, library, bookstore, food. I mean, every day, because I was investing in me and investing in what I was doing. And therefore, it was wonderful, it was powerful, and it made it accelerate exponentially.
I get that.
Lagging around is based on, I'm going to get a debt, and I'm never going to pay it off. And, you know, yeah, it is the ball and chain. But the big ball and chain is in here. It's in here.
Before it's ever on your wrist.
Before it ever gets on the wrist, it's in here. It's the image we hold.
Right.
And so you must.
Lord, that's it. I gotta rehabilitate.
I know.
I gotta rehabilitate.
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
What can we say?
So we're at
we're right at it.
8 o'clock my time in LA, 11 o'clock here on the East Coast. Thank you guys for coming live. I appreciate that.
Usual live.
Thank you, everybody.
Yay.
Thank you, Dr. Coleman.
Thank you.
You always help.
We have to. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Yes.
Every page. Whatever you pick up that's in your own particular profession, think of it in terms of economic terms. I mean economic in terms of the meaning of the words.
Yeah.
How you're managing your house.
Whew.
How you managing your house.
I like it's so thank you. Andre says you always blow our minds like the
good.
But that so there's some reordering that I have to do, and I'm working on that.
And the person talking. Let me just make this clear too. If you
I have that ancestor. I have that ancestor that's afraid. That's like, ain't nobody gonna want this.
Because it's been conditioned.
Yes.
It has been conditioned by bull whips. We don't underestimate the extent to which this is also cellular. It remembers the bull whips. It remembers the salt and water. It remembers that too. Now, the other one who grabbed the bull whip, took it out of the person's hand and whipped it with it.
I know I got one of them.
Yeah,
I know I got one of them.
That's why you're here too. So don't just remember the one who took the whip.
Remember the ones who gave it.
The whip.
Yes. So okay, but for me, there's some reordering because I have confession session. I have been on the path of creating product for 20 years, easily 20 years. And there'll always be start, stop. And there'll always be some reason why it never goes full throttle or the effort is like,
it peters out.
Right, it peters out, right.
Well, see, here's another thing too. None of that is lost unless you choose to let it be so. Everything you've done, every initiative that you've taken is now a part of your inventory. What you've got to, what I suggest is now those same skill sets that you cultivated over there, consciously or unconsciously for something else.
Right.
You bring them over here. And now you recalibrate them for the person that you truly are.
Right.
Remember, Sherri, I wanted to mention because you had an idea and you mentioned someone at a time took the idea, the very idea you had.
Yes.
And you have it's just about getting over it.
Yes.
Yeah, this is it. So go with it.
All right. This is a lot. This is a lot. But this is my comment.
Okay. One more thing.
Okay, give it.
Most of us are not afraid of failure. We are afraid of success. We're not afraid of failure. We are actually afraid of being successful, being the person we are. If you're trying to be like somebody else, you should be very afraid. You're trying to imitate someone else's rhythm. But when you find your place, your niche, don't be afraid of that. Because that right there is going to take care of you. My dad said your gifts will feed you. but you got to use them.
Right.
You got to use them for the person they first and foremost were given to. And then
there's a I know, we're trying to wrap this up. So there is an ownership of self.
That's the only ownership you need.
That needs to happen.
That's the only ownership you need. Is ownership of self.
How do you teach someone that they don't even think they own themselves?
Yeah, okay, then again, you gotta come on out there and get these habits. And how long you been doing these hangouts?
2013.
Go back and listen to yourself. Go back and look at yourself from another point of view. Look at yourself from the point of view of not just what you're teaching, but who is teaching. Go look at who is doing this and how the who that's doing this can take care of you.
I'm glad I got that recorded. I can listen to that part.
I'm not telling you anything that I haven't had to do. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah.
Go and look and say, wait a minute. Is that me?
Right.
Yes and no. It's not the you that you have bound yourself to be. It's the you that you're meant to be. You're looking at the future right there. That's the real you. I'm gonna tell you, I was looking at parts of my presentation from the day up in my room. And I said, man, I do bad. I never had some fun because I don't always know it in the moment when it's happening. I said, man, that's a Coleman bad.
Yes.
That's a bad, yeah, man. Woo.
Yes.
I had that. I said, let me just turn this off for a while. I can't take no more.
My granddaddy used to say, it's a whole dog that don't wag his own tail.
I'm telling you.
I love that. She said
That's
it's
true.
a poor dog that don't wag
That's
his own
right.
tail.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
And you got 400 years behind you of people who did not get credit for what they did. That's why I said the same thing. It's not
Right, and that's in the DNA.
It's not, no, these are skills. It's not about reparations. It's about payment. And even if it's not done in a certain way, pay yourself. Pay your ancestors and pay yourself. Assume that attitude and that consciousness.
Yes.
Going forward.
Yes.
My ancestors were not slaves. They were workers. They were skilled workers. They were farmers who they getting paid.
Right.
Now they get paid with junior.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's the attitude.
Right.
We are out of the tutelage phase.
Right.
Into Joshua.
Right.
And beyond. Into the temple.
All right,
y'all.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, you got it right in the tap of the